What if I told you that Nina Dobrev predicted her own breakup 6 days before the world found out? What if I told you she did it through a TikTok that basically called out Shaun for cheating without ever saying his name? And what if I told you that fans had been warning her about this exact scenario for over 3 years? Well, buckle up, because the Nina Dobrev and Shaun breakup isn't just another celebrity split. It's a masterclass in how social media can expose the truth when official statements try to hide it. 6 days before People magazine announced their shocking separation, Nina posted what fans are now calling the smoking gun. She lip-synced to audio that included the devastating line, "What's your advice for women trying to fix their man?" Listen, Bob the Builder, he's got 10 other women trying to fix him too, and you all look like a damn construction crew. The timing wasn't coincidental, the message wasn't subtle, and the fallout has been absolutely nuclear. But here's where it gets really twisted. Nina posted this cryptic bomb on the exact same day she shared romantic summer photos of them in bed together. Think about that for a second. She went from posting intimate couple content to basically calling him a serial cheater within hours. Something major happened that day, something that completely shattered her perception of their 5-year relationship. And based on the fan reactions flooding her comments, everyone knew exactly what she was talking about. The official statement claims this was a mutual decision made with love and respect. But when you dig into the timeline, analyze Nina's social media behavior, and connect it to years of cheating allegations that fans have been tracking since 2022, a completely different story emerges. This wasn't mutual. This wasn't amicable. This was a woman finally having enough of a man who allegedly couldn't keep it in his pants, despite her being completely out of his league. From a $250,000 engagement ring to a $4 million dream home, from wedding planning to complete radio silence, Nina and Shaun went from picture-perfect couple to total destruction in less than 2 weeks. And the breadcrumbs Nina left behind tell a story that's way more explosive than anyone's admitting. This is the real story of how the Vampire Diaries star exposed an Olympic champion, and why their breakup is breaking the internet.
Shaun White's October 2024 proposal wasn't just romantic, it was a $250,000 performance that now looks like the desperate act of a guilty man trying to lock down a woman who was way too good for him. The elaborate scheme he orchestrated to get Nina to that restaurant reveals the same calculating behavior that fans believe he used to hide his alleged cheating for years. And when you break down every detail of that proposal, it becomes clear that this wasn't just about love, it was about control. The setup was pure manipulation disguised as romance. Shaun convinced Nina that Anna Wintour, the legendary Vogue editor, was hosting an exclusive CFDA event at the Golden Swan restaurant in New York City. Nina, being the professional she is, immediately went into panic mode. She told Vogue she was in a panic that Anna's waiting for me, and rushed to get ready in full Chanel, thinking she was about to meet one of the most powerful women in fashion. Instead, she walked into Shaun's elaborate trap. Picture this. Nina arrives at this upscale restaurant dressed to impress the most intimidating woman in fashion, only to find the entire place empty except for Shaun standing under an arch of white roses with a photographer hiding in the shadows. The floor was covered in white flower petals, dozens of candles were flickering everywhere, and there was a professional capturing every second of her shock. This wasn't spontaneous romance, this was a staged production that cost more than most people's annual salary. The ring itself tells its own story. A 5-carat Lorraine Schwartz diamond worth anywhere from $220,000 to $300,000, custom designed to Nina's exact specifications. Shaun had clearly done his homework, studying her style and preferences with the same obsessive attention to detail that alleged cheaters used to cover their tracks. The ring was perfect, the setting was flawless, and Nina's reaction was everything he could have hoped for. Her immediate response of "no, no, no" wasn't rejection, it was pure disbelief that this was actually happening. But here's what makes this proposal even more disturbing in hindsight. Shaun had already failed twice before. The first attempt was during their summer vacation when Nina suffered a serious knee injury from a biking accident that required surgery. Instead of focusing on her recovery, Shaun was apparently planning the perfect moment to propose. The second failure happened during their November trip to Cape Town, South Africa, where something went wrong with his plans again. The persistence he showed in proposing, trying 3 different times until he got it right, perfectly mirrors the alleged pattern of behavior that fans believe destroyed their relationship. The same determination he used to create the perfect proposal was allegedly the same energy he put into maintaining multiple relationships behind Nina's back. And the elaborate deception he used to get her to that restaurant, fans are saying that was just practice for years of lying about where he was and who he was with. They celebrated until 1 a.m. that night, drinking champagne and eating caviar in this expensive restaurant that Shaun had completely bought out for the evening. But when the fancy stuff ran out, they ordered Shake Shack and dumplings, creating this weird contrast between luxury and normality that would define their entire relationship. Nina was genuinely happy, posting the engagement announcement that would stay pinned to her Instagram for almost a year. She had no idea that she'd just accepted a ring from someone who was allegedly already planning his next betrayal. The photographer captured every moment of Nina's genuine joy and surprise, creating the perfect social media content that would fool everyone into thinking they were the perfect couple. But knowing what we know now about the timeline of alleged cheating, those photos feel haunting. Nina's pure happiness in those images makes the cryptic TikTok she'd post 10 months later even more heartbreaking. The woman who was glowing with joy at accepting his proposal would eventually use social media to expose him as a serial cheater without ever saying his name.
September 5th, 2025 will go down as the day Nina Dobrev became a legend. Not for any movie role or red carpet moment, but for posting what might be the most savage breakup revelation in social media history. 6 days before the world found out about their split, Nina dropped a TikTok bomb that was so perfectly timed and brutally honest that it's still giving people chills. And the best part? She never mentioned Shaun's name once, but everyone knew exactly who she was talking about. The audio she chose wasn't random, it was surgical. Nina lip-synced to a sassy clip that included the devastating line, "What's your advice for women trying to fix their man?" Listen, Bob the Builder, he's got 10 other women trying to fix him too, and you all look like a damn construction crew. The Bob the Builder reference wasn't just funny, it was genius. She was basically saying that Shaun was a project that multiple women were working on simultaneously, and they were all getting played. But here's where Nina's timing becomes absolutely diabolical. She posted this cryptic exposure on the exact same day she shared romantic summer photos of them together in bed, looking like the perfect couple. Think about the psychological warfare happening here. She went from posting intimate couple content to basically calling him a cheating liar within hours of each other. This wasn't coincidence. This was calculated destruction. The fan reactions were immediate and brutal once people connected the dots after their breakup announcement. Comments started flooding in. OMG, he cheated. Oh, he effed up. And subtext here, he cheated. Even the pretty and super cool ones, girls, it's never your fault. One fan perfectly captured what everyone was thinking. Nina said what she said, and she was right. Another wrote, the way she knew what she was doing when she posted this. What makes this TikTok even more powerful is Nina's energy in the video. Fans immediately noticed she had that Catherine Pierce vibe, referencing her manipulative vampire character from the Vampire Diaries. She wasn't sad or broken, she was cold, calculating, and done with his nonsense. The smirk on her face while lip-syncing those words wasn't the look of someone who was mutually deciding to end their relationship. This was the look of someone who had finally gathered enough evidence to expose a liar. The timing suggests Nina discovered something major on September 5th that completely changed her perspective on their entire relationship. Maybe she found messages, maybe someone sent her photos, or maybe she finally connected dots that had been bothering her for months. Whatever happened that day, it was significant enough to make her go from posting loving couple photos to essentially calling him out for cheating within the same 24-hour period. This wasn't coincidence, this was calculated destruction. The beauty of Nina's approach was the plausible deniability. If anyone asked, she could claim it was just a funny TikTok trend. But everyone who knew about the years of cheating rumors immediately understood the subtext. She was confirming what fans had been saying since 2022, that Shaun White was allegedly unfaithful and that she had finally had enough of trying to fix a man who didn't want to be fixed. The fact that Nina kept this TikTok pinned to her profile even after the breakup announcement tells you everything you need to know about her feelings on the situation. While their reps were putting out statements about mutual decisions made with love and respect, Nina was literally keeping her cheating allegations pinned at the top of her social media. This wasn't a woman who was sad about losing her fiancé. This was someone who was proud of finally exposing the truth. The most savage part of this whole situation is that Nina managed to call out Shaun's alleged behavior, warn other women about him, and maintain her reputation as the classy one in the relationship, all while never directly naming him or making specific accusations. She let the internet connect the dots, and the internet delivered.
Fans immediately started resharing old cheating allegations, analyzing timelines, and basically building a case against Shaun using Nina's TikTok as the smoking gun. What's really getting people heated is how this TikTok proves Nina knew about his alleged cheating behavior way before their official breakup. She wasn't blindsided by some sudden revelation. She had been collecting evidence and watching him allegedly messing around with other women while planning their wedding. The Bob the Builder reference suggests she knew there were multiple women involved, and she was tired of being part of his construction crew of side pieces trying to fix his broken behavior.
The Bob the Builder TikTok wasn't Nina's first rodeo with Shaun's alleged infidelity. It was the final straw in a 3-year nightmare that fans had been documenting like FBI agents building a case. What makes the story absolutely insane is that the internet had been trying to warn Nina about Shaun's alleged cheating since 2022, but she either didn't see it or chose to ignore it until she couldn't anymore. And now that everything's out in the open, the timeline of allegations reads like a masterclass in how serial cheaters operate. The first major red flag surfaced in 2022 through a Dumois submission that sent shockwaves through gossip communities. An anonymous tipster claimed that everyone's favorite snowboarder has been unfaithful to his too-good-for-him girlfriend, specifically alleging that he's been seen on dating apps and DMing girls and had a night to remember while abroad last February. The submission was so detailed and specific that it immediately gained traction, with fans connecting the dots to Shaun and Nina's relationship timeline. But the most explosive allegation came from TikToker Taylor Grabois, who in 2022 posted what she claimed were screenshots of Shaun sliding into her DMs on both Raya, the exclusive celebrity dating app, and Instagram while he was publicly dating Nina. Grabois alleged that Shaun tried to meet up with her in Breckenridge, Colorado, and the screenshot she shared showed flirty messages that definitely weren't appropriate for someone in a committed relationship. The timing was particularly damning because this was happening while Shaun and Nina were posting cute couple content all over social media. Here's where the story gets really dark and conspiracy theory level suspicious. Just days after Taylor Grabois posted her allegations with the alleged screenshot evidence, her TikTok account was mysteriously and permanently banned, not temporarily suspended, not given a warning, completely eliminated from the platform. Her Instagram was also targeted, and she managed to post one final message before everything disappeared. When you make a video exposing your DMs with a famous Olympian and your TikTok account gets mysteriously permanently banned. The timing of those account bans raised serious questions about whether someone with influence was working behind the scenes to silence allegations. TikTok and Instagram don't usually ban accounts that quickly unless there's significant pressure or reporting happening. Fans immediately started speculating about whether Shaun or his team had connections that could make inconvenient evidence disappear. The fact that Taylor's accounts were nuked so efficiently only made her allegations seem more credible to people following the drama. Throughout 2022 and 2023, more anonymous tips kept surfacing on various gossip platforms. Fans reported seeing Shaun on dating apps, getting cozy with women at bars and events, and generally acting like a single man while Nina was busy building their relationship. The consistent pattern was always the same. Shaun would be spotted with other women when Nina was traveling for work, which happened frequently given her demanding filming schedule. The most recent and specific allegation came from a fan who commented on Nina's cryptic TikTok after the breakup news dropped. User @KelseyYYYEE claimed they personally witnessed Shaun with 2 other women at a bar in Austin, Texas, writing that the athlete's relationship with the girls did not seem friendly, and that Shaun's friend tried to threaten them and ask them not to take pictures. This wasn't some vague rumor. This was someone claiming they saw inappropriate behavior firsthand and were intimidated when they tried to document it. What makes all these allegations even more believable is the pattern of behavior they describe. Multiple women, multiple cities, always when Nina was working or traveling, always with attempts to keep things quiet or cover them up. This isn't the behavior of someone who made one mistake. This is allegedly the behavior of someone who had a system for maintaining multiple relationships while keeping his main girlfriend in the dark. The fan communities had been trying to warn Nina for years, but she was either not seeing the comments or choosing to ignore them. Reddit threads, Instagram comments, TikTok videos, there were literally hundreds of people trying to tell her what they'd heard or witnessed. Some fans even admitted they felt guilty for not being more aggressive in their attempts to inform her, saying they should have tried harder to make sure she knew what was happening. The most heartbreaking part of this timeline
is realizing that Nina was planning a wedding, buying houses, and building a future with someone while the internet was actively documenting his alleged betrayals. She was posting happy couple content and defending their relationship in interviews, while fans were literally screenshotting evidence of his alleged cheating and trying to get her attention. When you look back at Nina's interviews during this period, there are subtle signs that she might have been dealing with trust issues behind closed doors. She rarely talked about wedding details, always deflected questions about their timeline, and seemed to prioritize her career over relationship planning in a way that suggested she wasn't completely secure in their future together. Now we know why. She was allegedly dealing with a partner who couldn't stay faithful while she was trying to build something real.
Nothing screams, "we're in this forever," quite like dropping over $4 million on a house together. But that's exactly what Nina and Shaun did in July 2023 when they purchased their stunning Hollywood Hills mansion. The timing of this massive investment makes their September 2025 breakup even more shocking, because you don't buy a dream home with someone you're planning to leave. But now that home, with its floating staircases, infinity pool, and breathtaking city views, has become the most expensive casualty of their relationship destruction. The property itself reads like something out of Architectural Digest. This wasn't some basic celebrity starter home. This was a 3,793 square foot, mid-century modern masterpiece that screams old Hollywood glamour with contemporary luxury. 4 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and architectural details that have literally made design enthusiasts stop scrolling on Instagram. The floating staircase alone probably cost more than most people's entire houses, appearing to defy physics as it curves through the open-concept living space without visible support structures. But it's the outdoor space that really shows how serious they were about building a life together. The terraced backyard isn't just a yard, it's a private resort featuring an infinity swimming pool that seems to disappear into the Los Angeles skyline, a legitimate bocce ball court for entertaining, and tropical gardens that require professional maintenance. This was designed for hosting dinner parties, romantic evenings, and eventually raising a family. Every detail screams permanence and shared dreams. The $4.3 million price tag tells its own story about the relationship dynamics and the financial complexity of their split. While both Nina and Shaun are wealthy in their own right, there's a massive disparity between their net worth numbers. Shaun's estimated $65 million fortune from Olympic medals, endorsement deals, and business ventures dwarfs Nina's $11 million earned through acting and brand partnerships. This means the house purchase likely involves significantly more of Shaun's money, which is going to make dividing assets absolutely brutal. Here's where the timeline gets really heartbreaking. As recently as July 2025, just 2 months before their breakup announcement, Nina was posting TikTok content showing they were actively building another dream home together. She joked about having only $40 left with a wedding to plan, suggesting they were pouring money into multiple construction projects while simultaneously planning their future marriage. The level of financial entanglement they created makes their sudden split seem even more devastating. The legal implications of their property situation are going to be a nightmare. Unlike married couples who have established divorce procedures for asset division, engaged couples who break up exist in a legal gray area that varies by state. California's property laws might treat their joint purchase as a business partnership rather than a romantic relationship, which means everything gets divided based on financial contribution rather than emotional investment. Given Shaun's significantly higher net worth, he might legally own the majority stake in their dream home. But the emotional value of that house goes way beyond the financial investment. Nina had been documenting their home renovation process on social media for months, showing followers everything from paint color decisions to furniture placement. She was clearly nesting, creating a space where they could build their married life together. The Instagram posts of her cooking in that kitchen, lounging by that pool, and hosting friends in those living spaces now read like a tragic love story that ended before the final chapter. The timing of their real estate investments also raises questions about what Nina knew and when she knew it. If she was aware of Shaun's alleged cheating behavior as early as 2022, why would she agree to buy an expensive house with him in 2023? Either she believed his promises to change, or she was hoping that making a major commitment together would motivate him to be faithful. Unfortunately for Nina, cheaters who aren't motivated by engagement rings usually aren't motivated by mortgage payments either. The house also represents all the entertaining and lifestyle changes Nina made to accommodate Shaun's world. The bocce ball court wasn't for her, that was clearly designed for Shaun's friends and business associates.
The layout and amenities suggest someone who is willing to blend their aesthetic preferences with their partner's needs, creating a space that worked for both of their social circles. Now she's stuck with reminders of his interests built into her living space. The most brutal part of this property situation is what happens next. Do they sell it and split the proceeds? Does one of them buy out their share? Can Nina even afford to keep a $4.3 million house on her $11 million net worth, especially with all the ongoing maintenance and property taxes? The practical reality is that their dream home might have to be sold to strangers, with all those carefully chosen details and personal touches becoming someone else's story. The house hunting process they went through together, the mortgage applications, the insurance paperwork, the utility transfers, all of that boring administrative stuff that couples do when they're building a life together now has to be untangled by lawyers and accountants. Every shared decision they made about that property, from the initial offer to the final decorating touches, has become evidence in what might turn into a very expensive legal battle.
If you know how to read between the lines of celebrity social media, Nina and Shaun's relationship was sending out distress signals for months before their official breakup announcement. Fans who had been following their story obsessively started noticing subtle changes in Nina's behavior, interview responses, and social media patterns that suggested trouble was brewing in paradise. And when you map out these warning signs chronologically, it becomes clear that their September 2025 split wasn't sudden at all. It was the inevitable conclusion of a relationship that had been slowly dying in public. The first major red flag came during Nina's March 2025 interview with E! News, where her response to wedding planning questions should have set off alarm bells for anyone paying attention. When asked about their timeline, Nina said, "We're just enjoying being engaged. The fiancé period is very short. I really want to enjoy it and not rush that process." On the surface, this sounds romantic and thoughtful, but when you compare it to how most newly engaged celebrities gush about wedding details and can't wait to get married, Nina's response feels almost defensive. What made that interview even more telling was her body language and tone. She wasn't glowing with excitement about planning her dream wedding. She seemed almost reluctant to discuss their future at all. Most women who are genuinely excited about marrying their partner can't stop talking about venues, dresses, and guest lists. Nina was actively avoiding those topics and deflecting to vague statements about enjoying the moment. Looking back, this reads like someone who was already having serious doubts about whether that wedding would actually happen. The social media behavior patterns were even more revealing once fans started analyzing them post-breakup. Throughout 2024 and early 2025, Nina's posts featuring Shaun became increasingly rare and less intimate. While she used to regularly share couple photos, tag him in stories, and post about their adventures together, her content gradually shifted to focus more on her individual projects, friendships, and solo activities. This wasn't just natural social media evolution, this was someone slowly untangling their online identity from their partner. The most significant warning sign came in the form of Nina's changing response to fan comments about the relationship. In 2023, she would regularly like and respond to comments about Shaun, their relationship, and their future together. But by early 2025, she had almost completely stopped acknowledging relationship-related comments, even positive ones. Fans noticed that she would like comments about her work, her friends, and her projects, but anything mentioning Shaun or their engagement got radio silence. This behavior change suggested she was becoming uncomfortable with public discussion of their relationship. The final weeks before their official breakup revealed the most dramatic warning signs that something was seriously wrong. They were spotted holding hands at a Los Angeles farmers market on August 31, 2025, just 11 days before People magazine announced their split. To casual observers, this looked like a normal couple doing normal weekend activities, but fans who were paying attention noticed that Nina looked tense and distracted in the paparazzi photos, and their body language seemed forced rather than natural. Then came the September social media behavior that now reads like a countdown to disaster. On September 5th, she posted that cryptic Bob the Builder TikTok alongside intimate summer photos of them together, a combination that now seems like psychological warfare. September 7th brought two major red flags. She attended the Toronto International Film Festival premiere without her engagement ring for the first time since getting engaged, and she quietly unpinned her engagement announcement from Instagram after keeping it at the top of her profile for almost a year. The missing engagement ring at TIFF wasn't just a fashion choice, it was a statement. Nina had worn that massive Lorraine Swartz diamond to every public event since getting engaged, treating it like the trophy it was meant to be. For her to suddenly appear at a major film festival without it suggested she was already mentally checking out of the engagement. The fact that she unpinned her engagement announcement on the same day feels like someone systematically erasing their relationship from her public image. Fan communities had been tracking these changes obsessively, creating timeline posts and analysis threads that documented every shift in Nina's behavior.
The most dedicated followers noticed that her energy in recent interviews seemed different, less bubbly, more guarded, and significantly less willing to discuss her personal life. She was still professional and charming, but the genuine excitement and happiness that used to light up her face when discussing Shaun had completely disappeared. The career prioritization pattern also became more pronounced in the months leading up to their split. Nina started taking on more projects, spending more time traveling for work, and generally seemed to be using her career as a way to avoid spending time at home. While this could be explained as professional ambition, fans who remembered her previous relationships noticed it was the same pattern she'd exhibited before ending things with Ian Somerhalder, using work as an escape route from a relationship that was no longer serving her. The heartbreaking warning sign was Nina's changing response to fans' support and concern. Throughout 2024, when fans would express worry about the cheating rumors or suggest she deserved better, she would either ignore the comments or occasionally defend Shaun. But by 2025, her responses had shifted to liking comments that praised her independence and strength while completely ignoring anything mentioning their relationship. This suggested she was starting to agree with fans who were telling her she could do better. Looking back at the timeline, it's clear that Nina had been planning her exit strategy for months before the official announcement. The cryptic TikToks, the missing ring, the unpinned posts, the career focus, all of it points to someone who was methodically preparing to end a relationship while maintaining plausible deniability until she was ready to make it official. The fans who were paying attention saw it coming from miles away, even if the general public was shocked by the sudden announcement.
Beyond the alleged cheating scandals and social media drama, Nina and Shaun's relationship was doomed by fundamental incompatibilities that should have been obvious from day one. These weren't two people who naturally fit together. They were forcing a connection between completely different worlds that created constant tension, resentment, and ultimately contributed to their spectacular downfall. When you analyze their career demands, lifestyle preferences, and long-term goals, it becomes clear that even without the infidelity allegations, this relationship was never going to survive. Nina's pattern of prioritizing career over relationships isn't new. It's actually been her signature move since she became famous. Her previous relationship with Vampire Diaries co-star Ian Somerhalder ended in 2013 specifically because she had an ironclad rule that her career would come first before anything else. This wasn't just young ambition talking. This was someone who understood that Hollywood is brutal to actresses who let personal relationships derail their professional momentum. She learned early that choosing love over career advancement is often a one-way ticket to irrelevance. But Shaun apparently never got the memo about Nina's priorities, or he thought he could change her mind through charm and expensive gestures. His constant complaints about her travel schedule revealed someone who expected his fiancée to reorganize her entire professional life around his needs and preferences. In multiple interviews, he admitted that her demanding filming schedule was difficult and challenging, saying, "She gets requested to do projects and movies, you just make it work. Plane tickets are booked when they have an opportunity to meet up." This sounds supportive on the surface, but read between the lines and you can hear the frustration. The fundamental problem was that Shaun's career was essentially over, while Nina's was just hitting her stride. As a retired Olympic athlete, he had all the time in the world to focus on their relationship, plan romantic gestures, and build their domestic life together. Meanwhile, Nina was in the prime of her acting career, fielding offers for major projects and building her post-Vampire Diaries identity as a serious actress. She couldn't just drop everything to play house with someone who had already achieved his major life goals. Their social circles were completely incompatible and created constant friction that fans could see playing out on social media. Nina's world revolves around Hollywood premieres, fashion events, industry parties, and networking with directors, producers, and fellow actors. These are work events disguised as social gatherings, where careers are built and deals are made over cocktails and small talk. Shaun's world centers around extreme sports communities, entrepreneur meetups, and mountain town social scenes that operate on completely different values and timelines. The geographical challenges alone should have been a massive red flag. Nina's career requires her to be flexible about location, filming in different cities and countries for months at a time, attending festivals and premieres globally, and maintaining her presence in Los Angeles entertainment industry circles. Shaun's lifestyle preferences lean heavily toward mountain destinations, outdoor adventures, and the kind of remote locations that are amazing for vacation Instagram posts, but terrible for building an acting career. The age and life stage differences created additional pressure that became more obvious as their relationship progressed. At 36, Nina is at the perfect age to take on more complex, mature roles that could define the next phase of her career. She needs to be strategic about her choices, network aggressively, and potentially relocate for the right opportunities.
Shaun, at 39 and already retired from his primary career, was ready to settle down, start a family, and enjoy the wealthy lifestyle his Olympic success had provided. These timelines don't naturally align. The financial dynamics of their relationship also created underlying tension that probably contributed to their ultimate incompatibility. While Shaun's $65 million net worth dwarfed Nina's $11 million earnings, his wealth came from a career that was already finished. Nina's earning potential is still growing, but it requires constant work, travel, and career management. This created a situation where the wealthier partner had unlimited free time, while the less wealthy partner was working constantly to build her financial security. The pressure of maintaining a public relationship while dealing with these private incompatibilities must have been exhausting for both of them. Every public appearance required them to present as happy, stable couple, while privately dealing with completely different life goals and priorities. Nina had to smile and discuss wedding plans in interviews while knowing that planning a wedding might interfere with career opportunities. Shaun had to act supportive of her career while privately resenting how much it took her away from their relationship. The lifestyle conflicts became even more apparent when you look at their social media content over the years. Shaun's posts featured adventure sports, mountain locations, and friend groups that Nina rarely appeared in. Nina's content focused on work events, fashion moments, and industry connections that Shaun never seemed to be part of. They were living parallel lives that occasionally intersected for cute couple photos, but they weren't actually building a shared life together. The wedding planning delays that Nina discussed in interviews now make perfect sense when viewed through the lens of lifestyle incompatibility. She kept pushing back timeline discussions, not because she wanted to enjoy being engaged, but because she couldn't figure out how to plan a wedding around her unpredictable filming schedule. Meanwhile, Shaun probably interpreted these delays as Nina not being serious about their future together, creating resentment that may have contributed to his alleged wandering. The most telling aspect of their lifestyle conflicts was how they handled long-distance periods. Successful couples in entertainment find ways to make separation work through constant communication, surprise visits, and shared goals that make the time apart worthwhile. Nina and Shaun's approach seemed to involve Shaun complaining about her absence while Nina focused on her work, creating a cycle of guilt and resentment that poisoned their connection even when they were together. Looking back at their 5-year relationship timeline, it's clear that they spent more time trying to force compatibility than actually enjoying each other's company. The elaborate dates, expensive gifts, and social media performances were all attempts to paper over fundamental differences that couldn't be resolved through romantic gestures. Nina needed a partner who understood that her career ambitions were non-negotiable, while Shaun needed someone who was ready to prioritize relationship building over professional advancement. They were never going to be that for each other, no matter how much money he spent on proposals or how many cute couple photos they posted.
Here's the part of Shaun White's story that his PR team desperately hoped everyone would forget, but Nina's fans never did. Long before the cheating allegations and cryptic TikToks, there was a 2016 sexual harassment lawsuit that painted a disturbing picture of Shaun's character and treatment of women. The allegations were so graphic and unsettling that when Nina started dating him in 2020, her fan base immediately went into protective mode, warning her repeatedly about the kind of man she was getting involved with. And now that their relationship has imploded exactly the way fans predicted, those old allegations are resurfacing with renewed relevance. The lawsuit was filed by Lena Zawade, the former drummer of Shaun's band Bad Things, and the details she alleged were absolutely stomach-churning. According to court documents, Zawade claimed that Shaun forced her to watch sexually explicit videos, sent her graphic sexual images without consent, and subjected her to a pattern of sexual harassment that made her working environment unbearable. But the allegations went beyond just inappropriate behavior. They painted a picture of someone who used his power and celebrity status to intimidate and control women who couldn't easily fight back. The most disturbing aspect of Zawade's allegations was the systematic nature of the harassment she described. This wasn't someone making a few inappropriate comments or crossing boundaries once or twice. The lawsuit detailed a prolonged pattern of sexual misconduct that suggested Shaun viewed women in his professional circle as available for his entertainment, regardless of their consent or comfort level. The fact that this was happening within a professional band context made it even more predatory, because Zawade's livelihood depended on maintaining that working relationship. When the 2018 Olympics brought renewed attention to the case, Shaun's response was telling and infuriating. During a press conference that should have been celebrating his athletic achievements, reporters asked about the sexual harassment allegations. Instead of expressing remorse, taking responsibility, or showing any understanding of how serious the accusations were, Shaun dismissed the entire situation as gossip and tried to redirect attention back to his snowboarding career. This wasn't the response of someone who had learned from their mistakes. This was someone minimizing and deflecting responsibility for their alleged actions. The case ultimately settled out of court in 2017, which meant the public never got to hear all the evidence or see how a jury would have responded to the allegations. Settlement agreements typically include non-disclosure clauses, which prevented Zawadi from speaking publicly about the details of what she experienced. This legal maneuver allowed Shaun to essentially buy his way out of public accountability while leaving serious questions about his treatment of women completely unresolved. Nina's fans had been bringing up these allegations since the very beginning of her relationship with Shaun, and their warnings became increasingly urgent as the relationship progressed. Comment sections on her Instagram posts were filled with concerned followers sharing links to articles about the lawsuit, summarizing the allegations and basically begging her to reconsider her relationship choices. The fan response wasn't just casual gossip, it was genuine concern from people who had watched Nina portray strong, independent characters and wanted her to embody those same qualities in her personal life. The most heartbreaking part of the fan response was how persistent and detailed their warnings were. These weren't just people posting, "He's bad news," without explanation. Fans were sharing specific information about the allegations, linking to court documents, and providing context about why the settlement didn't mean the accusations were false. They were essentially doing the research that Nina's inner circle should have been doing before she got seriously involved with someone who had such serious allegations in their past. The pattern of behavior described in the lawsuit becomes even more disturbing when viewed alongside the recent cheating allegations. The entitlement to women's bodies, the disregard for consent and boundaries, the use of power dynamics to get what he wanted, these are all consistent with someone who allegedly can't stay faithful in a committed relationship. Sexual harassment and infidelity aren't the same thing, but they often stem from the same mindset that views women as objects for male gratification rather than autonomous individuals deserving of respect. What makes the fan warnings even more tragic is that Nina apparently either didn't see them or chose to ignore them completely. Social media algorithms might have hidden the negative comments from her view, or she might have been so caught up in the romance and luxury of dating an Olympic champion that she didn't want to hear criticism. Either way, the people who cared about her most were trying to protect her from exactly the kind of situation that ultimately destroyed their relationship. The 2016 lawsuit also raises serious questions about Shaun's ability to maintain appropriate professional relationships with women. If the allegations were true, they suggested someone who couldn't work alongside women without sexualizing and harassing them. This behavior pattern would be completely incompatible with dating someone like Nina, whose career requires her to work closely with male directors, co-stars, and industry professionals. A partner who has a history of inappropriate behavior toward women in professional settings would create constant tension and jealousy in a relationship with a successful actress. The timing of when Nina's fans started connecting the harassment allegations to the cheating rumors is particularly interesting. As early as 2022, when the first Dumois posts about Shaun's alleged infidelity started circulating, fans immediately brought up the lawsuit as evidence that this kind of behavior was part of an established pattern. They weren't treating the cheating allegations as isolated incidents. They were viewing them as the latest example of someone who had never learned to respect women or relationship boundaries. The most damning aspect of the harassment lawsuit in the context of their recent breakup is how it predicted exactly the kind of relationship dynamics that apparently destroyed their engagement. Someone who allegedly harassed a female colleague and then dismissed the experience as gossip was never going to be capable of the honesty, respect, and fidelity required for a successful marriage with someone as accomplished and independent as Nina Dobrev. Fan sentiment throughout their relationship consistently reflected this understanding. Comments like, "She deserves so much better," and "I wish she would listen to us," weren't just random hate. They were coming from people who had done their homework about Shaun's past and could see the red flags that Nina was apparently missing. The fact that their relationship ended exactly the way fans predicted, with allegations of infidelity and Nina finally having enough of his behavior, proves that the people who were warning her were right all along.
The harassment lawsuit also explains why Nina's cryptic TikTok about women trying to fix men resonated so powerfully with her fanbase. They had been watching her try to fix someone who had serious, documented issues with how he treated women, and they knew that no amount of love, patience, or expensive engagement rings was going to change his fundamental character. Nina's Bob the Builder reference wasn't just about cheating. It was about the futility of trying to rehabilitate someone who had spent years proving he wasn't capable of respecting women in any context.
When People magazine dropped their exclusive report on September 11, 2025, claiming that Nina Dobrev and Shaun White's breakup was a mutual decision made with love and deep respect for one another, the collective eye roll from the internet was so powerful it probably registered on seismographs. This wasn't just another celebrity PR spin job. This was a masterclass in how publicists try to rewrite reality when the truth is too messy for public consumption. But Nina's own behavior told a completely different story than the sanitized version their representatives were selling to the media. The official statement had all the hallmarks of damage control written by someone who was desperately trying to protect both parties' public images. Phrases like mutual decision, made with love, and deep respect for one another are PR speak for, please don't dig too deep into why this really happened because it's going to make everyone look bad. These statements are designed to shut down speculation and encourage people to move on quickly without asking uncomfortable questions about cheating, harassment allegations, or years of alleged infidelity. But Nina's timeline of events leading up to their breakup announcement makes the mutual narrative completely laughable. Mutual decisions don't involve cryptic TikToks calling out your partner's alleged cheating behavior. Mutual decisions don't require removing your engagement ring at public events and unpinning engagement announcements from social media profiles. Mutual decisions certainly don't involve one person using social media to essentially warn other women about their ex-partner's behavior patterns. The most telling aspect of how unmutual this decision actually was can be found in Nina's behavior both before and after the official announcement. Someone who mutually decided to end their engagement with love and respect doesn't keep a TikTok about cheating men pinned to the top of their profile for weeks after the breakup news drops. That's not the behavior of someone who's sad about losing a great relationship. That's someone who's proud of finally exposing the truth about what they were dealing with behind closed doors. The stark contrast between their post-breakup social media behavior also reveals who actually wanted this relationship to end. Nina has maintained complete radio silence about Shaun since the announcement, refusing to comment, defend him, or express any sadness about their split. Meanwhile, Shaun has been equally quiet, but his silence feels more like someone who got caught and is hoping the whole situation blows over quickly. When breakups are truly mutual, both parties usually make some effort to speak positively about their shared history or express gratitude for their time together. The timing of the official announcement also suggests this was anything but mutual. If they had been having honest conversations about their incompatibilities and mutually decided to part ways, why did Nina need to call him out through social media first? Why was she spotted without her engagement ring at public events before any official statement was made? The sequence of events reads more like Nina finally having enough of Shaun's alleged behavior and forcing the situation to a conclusion he wasn't ready for. The language used in their official statement becomes even more suspicious when compared to how other celebrity couples announce mutual separations. When relationships end by mutual agreement, the statements usually include specific mentions of remaining friends, continuing to support each other's careers, or asking for privacy during a difficult time. Nina and Shaun's statement was notably lacking in those personal touches, reading more like a legal document than a heartfelt explanation from two people who still cared about each other but recognized they're not compatible for marriage. The complete absence of any follow-up comments, social media interactions, or public appearances together since the announcement is another major red flag that this wasn't a mutual decision. Couples who end things amicably usually make some effort to demonstrate their continued friendship and respect, especially when they have shared financial investments like their $4.3 million house to deal with. The fact that they've apparently had zero public contacts in September suggests there's some serious hard feelings on at least one side. Nina's decision to keep her cryptic TikTok pinned while maintaining silence about everything else is perhaps the most damning evidence that the official narrative is complete fiction. This is someone who clearly has strong opinions about how their relationship ended and what kind of person Shaun really is, but she's choosing to let her previous social media posts speak for her rather than engaging in any kind of public reconciliation or friendship narrative.
The fan response to the mutual decision narrative was immediate and brutal, with comments flooding social media pointing out all the ways the official story didn't match the evidence they've been collecting for months. Fans who had been tracking Nina's behavioral changes, documenting the cheating allegations, and analyzing their relationship timeline weren't buying the sanitized version for even a second. The collective response was essentially, "We have receipts, and this story doesn't add up." The most telling aspect of the mutual decision narrative is what it's specifically trying to hide. By emphasizing love and respect, the statement is working overtime to counter the obvious implication that this relationship ended because of cheating, betrayal, or other behavior that would make Shaun look terrible and Nina look like a victim. PR teams only work this hard to control the narrative when the truth would be significantly more damaging than whatever vague explanation they're providing. The legal and financial complexities of their breakup also suggest this wasn't a mutual decision reached through calm and rational discussion. When couples mutually decide to separate, they usually have time to work out the practical details of asset division, property management, and public messaging before making any announcements. The fact that their statement was so vague about practical matters suggests this might have been a rushed damage control response to a situation that was spiraling out of their control. The complete absence of any personal warmth or specific positive memories in their official statement is perhaps the most damning evidence that this wasn't a mutual decision. Compare their cold corporate language to how other celebrity couples announce amicable splits, and the difference is striking. This reads like a statement designed to minimize liability and protect public images rather than a genuine expression of two people who still care about each other but recognize they're not compatible for marriage. The timing of when the story broke also suggests Nina may have forced Shaun's hand by making her feelings public through social media, leaving him with no choice but to agree to the breakup or risk even more public embarrassment. The mutual decision might have been mutual only in the sense that Shaun realized he had no other choice once Nina started exposing his alleged behavior to her millions of followers.
When the official breakup announcement hit People magazine on September 11, 2025, the internet didn't just react, it completely lost its mind in the most beautiful, chaotic way possible. This wasn't your typical celebrity breakup where fans express polite sadness and move on with their lives. This was a full-scale social media investigation, with millions of people turning into amateur detectives, connecting dots, sharing theories, and basically building a case file that would make actual FBI agents proud. The level of investment and analysis that followed their split announcement proved that Nina and Shaun weren't just another celebrity couple. They had become a symbol of everything that's wrong with how famous men treat the women who are too good for them. Twitter became ground zero for the collective meltdown, with fans expressing genuine heartbreak over what they had considered one of the most stable celebrity relationships. Comments like, "Opened Instagram to People magazine reporting Nina Dobrev and Shaun White broke up, and I need one of those two to tell me it's a lie," and "Nina Dobrev and Shaun White broke up? Love is not real, OMFG!" captured the raw shock that people felt when they first saw the news. But that initial disbelief quickly evolved into something much more sophisticated and investigative. Reddit communities immediately went into overdrive, with users creating detailed timeline posts that connected every piece of evidence from the past 3 years. The r/Dumois subreddit became particularly active, with fans resurfacing old blind items, analyzing social media patterns, and basically creating a comprehensive case study of how this relationship fell apart. These weren't just random gossip posts, they were methodical analyses that included screenshots, dates, cross-references, and the kind of detailed documentation that would be admissible in court. The most impressive aspect of the fan response was how quickly they connected Nina's cryptic TikTok to years of cheating allegations that casual observers had missed entirely. Within hours of the breakup announcement, fans were sharing screenshots of the old Dumois posts, linking to articles about Taylor Grabois's mysteriously banned social media accounts, and creating comprehensive threads that mapped out every red flag from the past 3 years. This wasn't just gossip consumption, this was collaborative, investigative journalism. TikTok became the platform where Nina's Bob the Builder video transformed from a cryptic post into a cultural phenomenon. Fans started creating reaction videos, analysis content, and even tribute posts celebrating Nina for finally standing up for herself. The comment section of her original TikTok became a support group where women shared their own experiences with cheating partners and praised Nina for having the courage to expose the truth. The video's engagement numbers exploded as more people discovered the connection between her cryptic message and their subsequent breakup.
Instagram comment sections turned into battlegrounds where Nina's fans expressed their long-held frustrations about her relationship choices. Years of suppressed concerns came flooding out, with followers admitting they had been worried about Shaun since the beginning but didn't want to seem negative or judgmental. Comments like, "We tried to warn you," and "You deserve so much better," weren't just supportive messages, they were validation that the people who cared about Nina most had seen this disaster coming from miles away. The fan response also revealed some fascinating insights about how social media has changed the way we consume celebrity relationships. Instead of just passively following along with whatever celebrities present, fans are now actively analyzing, fact-checking, and investigating the truth behind public relationships. Nina's breakup became a case study in how audiences are no longer willing to accept sanitized PR statements when the evidence suggests a different story entirely. The speed with which fans connected all the dots also demonstrates how much information is actually available if you know where to look and how to analyze it. From deleted social media posts, to changed behavior patterns, to timing inconsistencies in public statements, modern fans have become incredibly sophisticated at reading between the lines of celebrity narratives. Nina and Shaun's breakup became proof that it's almost impossible to maintain a completely false public image when millions of people are paying attention to your every move. The international response was equally intense, with fans from different countries sharing their perspectives on American celebrity culture, relationship dynamics, and the specific challenges faced by women in Hollywood. Nina's situation resonated globally because the pattern of successful women trying to fix problematic men is universal, regardless of fame or wealth. Her story became a cautionary tale that transcended celebrity gossip and touched on broader themes about self-worth and relationship standards. Looking ahead, the social media explosion around their breakup has created a new template for how celebrity relationship scandals unfold in the digital age. Future couples will have to be even more careful about maintaining consistent narratives across all platforms, because fans are now trained to spot inconsistencies and investigate discrepancies with unprecedented thoroughness. Nina's cryptic TikTok approach has created a new model for how celebrities can address relationship issues while maintaining plausible deniability and legal protection. The long-term implications for both Nina and Shaun's careers are still unfolding, but early indicators suggest Nina has emerged as the clear winner in terms of public perception. Her fan base has grown significantly since the breakup, with new followers drawn to her story of finally standing up for herself after years of allegedly tolerating unacceptable behavior. The narrative of a strong, successful woman finally saying enough has resonated with audiences who are tired of watching capable women settle for men who don't deserve them. For Shaun, the social media response has been considerably less favorable, with his past allegations resurfacing and his alleged behavior patterns being analyzed and criticized across multiple platforms. The court of public opinion has essentially declared him guilty of being the kind of partner that successful women should avoid, regardless of wealth, fame, or romantic gestures. His future dating prospects have likely been significantly complicated by how thoroughly his alleged behavior has been documented and discussed online. The broader cultural impact of their breakup extends beyond just entertainment gossip into conversations about relationship standards, red flags, and the importance of believing women when they try to warn each other about problematic men. Nina's story has become a rallying point for discussions about why successful women often end up with partners who don't deserve them and how social media can be used to expose truth when official statements try to hide it. The most significant long-term consequence of this social media explosion might be how it changes celebrity relationship dynamics going forward. Future couples will know that fans are watching, analyzing, and documenting everything, making it much harder to maintain false narratives or hide problematic behavior. Nina's cryptic TikTok approach has essentially created a new playbook for how celebrities can address relationship issues while maintaining plausible deniability and legal protection. The story of Nina and Shaun's breakup has ultimately become much bigger than just another celebrity split. It's become a case study in how social media has fundamentally changed the power dynamics between celebrities and their audiences, giving fans unprecedented ability to investigate, expose, and hold public figures accountable for their behavior in ways that traditional media never could.